Welcome to the But Did You Die podcast. This is Darren Boot Clark coming to you live from the mean streets of El Lago with another edition of But Did You Die? And today's a little different. Today is all politics. As you can see behind me, I got my Q flag. This is everything Q. And today's guest is Ahmad Halabi, and he is a digital warrior with Q. He's also a very good friend of mine. We're very dialed in. He's the father to my grandson, the Loomster, and
Yep.
Takes good care of Leah, and it's just a lot of fun. But we got talking about the Q a while back, and we pretty much talk about it every day.
Yep. Every day.
Every day.
There's
So
new developments every day. So
man,
there's always something to talk about.
there is. And so today I want to talk to Ahmad about everything the Q. And people say it's a conspiracy theory. People are saying that they've debunked it. People believe that there's truth in messaging behind it. It's the good for society. There's all different things. And so let's address the elephant in the room. And Ahmad, why don't you tell me how you got involved with the Q?
So I got involved with the Q. It's actually interesting how it came into my life. I saw all the events taking place in the world. I was watching what was going on in Wuhan with COVID before it, took over the world and everything. I just remember feeling a lot of I guess it was the unknown was giving me a sense of fear, And I was like, man, if this virus, look at what's happening in China, they're locking down. I was like, if this is really what's going on, this thing's about to spread. And I just started doing research, and then I started coming across Q. I have a few friends of mine who have always told me about Q. They've sent me to alternative outlets, and, I always listen. I've actually been listening for a long time, but I never really bought in. And then when COVID struck, and then what was weird was COVID struck at the same time. It was like synchronistic with all these corrupt politicians getting exposed.
Okay.
And when that happened for me, that was a coincidence. So
Yeah.
I don't like to think of myself as a conspiracy theorist. I'm more of a coincidence theorist.
Okay.
So I just kept seeing coincidences and coincidences and coincidences. And how many coincidences can occur before it's mathematically impossible? I start seeing the Q proofs. I start seeing things he said years ago, 2017, 2018,
Right.
taking place today. He told me that General Flynn will be exonerated, that they are exactly where they need to be. And here we are. General Flynn's on the brink of being exonerated. I mean, it's just a judge holding him back now, a corrupt judge holding him back at this point. We see Obamagate opening up. We see Biden getting caught up in his lies. Hillary Clinton had court on Blackout Tuesday. That's a coincidence. Why did they black out the internet the same day that her first trial is going to be live streamed on YouTube? They don't want us to know about this kind of stuff. The FBI hand notes getting declassified, phone calls getting leaked. Just all of these things start coming out. And then here we are. The mainstream media is not even talking about it. It's just spinning headlines,
So you
getting
saw
fake narratives.
You saw too many coincidences. They were lining up, and nothing. That's not a coincidence at that point. There's more to it, right? And
There's more to it at that point.
I think society is like, what is going on?
Mm-hmm.
So before we dive into it, because we're already going down the rabbit hole, and that's what this is all about today. Is the
Yeah,
rabbit hole.
we're going down the rabbit hole.
What is Q? In your eyes, what do you see Q as?
Man, it's interesting. From the beginning to where I am now, what Q is has changed along the way. The more you learn, the more you follow, the more you kind of jump into it, you start to see what it really is about. I don't like to say exactly what it is because we don't know what it is. We're all speculating.
Right.
What we're doing though is we're taking the information and we're just trying to see, is this accurate? And this is where I am basically with Q. There was a point I thought Q was a military operation.
Right.
And then I kind of lean away from that. I feel like now it's more of an operation to reach the people, to get around the mainstream media and reach us directly. And by doing so, things like this happen, podcasts like this happen, where we start talking about these subjects that Q is, trying to point us towards. People start, for example, my social media has changed completely. If you would have saw my social media months ago, I was posting about day trading, spiritual quotes, my
Right.
family, just life in general. Now it's all about Q. It's all about politics. It's all about what's going on right now. And it's just it's so and I like to use the word incredible
Yeah.
because Q says the future proves past, and we can go through his posts and we will see things from 2017, 2018, where if you read them today, you would think that they were typed up today. I'm
Right.
talking Antifa has been
Yeah.
mentioned for a long time. George Soros, to the public, George Soros is a new name for a lot of people.
Hmm.
If you've been following Q, he is not a new name. We have been
No.
seeing Soros pop up for a long time with Q. Hillary Clinton, Weinstein, Epstein. I mean, all these names, they're not new. We've been knowing of like their corruption. We've been
Right.
knowing of their plan. And the way I look at Q is basically saying, look, guys, the media is lying to you. They're spinning fake stories, giving you a false narrative to steal your vote. What's
Yep.
really going on is Donald Trump was reached out to by the military, and they're running this operation to take down the deep state and bring back America to what it was. In a sense, make America great again.
Right. Okay.
So
Yeah.
so
And he's somebody that can't be controlled. Right. He's
He
not a.
can't be controlled. I mean, they talk on, I think it's 8chan or 4chan.
Hmm.
It's, I mean, from what I've never been on the actual, I've clicked on the website. I've never made an account. From what I understand, you need to be anonymous. You need to have a VPN. Like, it's like, you need to be very, I think you might even need to go onto like the deep web to really access it the way you need to, you know?
Gotcha.
And I mean, you need to be private on there. Nobody knows who's who. And that's one of the elements to it. We
Yeah.
don't know who Q is. We
It's
just speculate. And he's I would bet my money he's a government insider, leaking
okay.
information to the people to
Yep.
bypass the mainstream media, who's owned by Soros and the Clintons and the left. These
Right.
people own
The
these outlets,
Rothschilds,
which
the
is why
Rockefellers.
yep, exactly.
So
And that's why you see they bash Trump and they let the left slide.
right.
How come they're not talking about Biden's sexual assault case with Tara Reid? But
Right.
then a few years back with Kavanaugh, we had the Me Too movement begin.
Yeah. All
The whole tune changed.
and I think it's not just tied to America. Q is a global phenomenon,
It's a global
right?
phenomenon.
And there's a dark side to what Q's trying to debunk and fight and expose the
Mm-hmm.
the the sexual pedophilia, um,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Human trafficking.
human trafficking. That's a big movement there. So Q's, I would say, an amalgamation. What I think it is it's an amalgamation of people with like minds trying to do battle. It's good versus evil, right? And there's a
Yep.
political component. There's a human trafficking component. There's a
Mm-hmm.
one world, anti one world order component.
Mm-hmm.
Less government, and
Yep.
giving the power back to the people instead of being told what to do. You know,
And that's how this
expose
country's supposed to be.
expose the shepherd of the sheeple, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what I see it as. And from what I'm very new to it, but
Mm-hmm.
I like you, um, was exposed to it. It was like right around the pandemic. Didn't make sense to me,
It
and
didn't make sense.
and
It
and and the
just, it
government,
still doesn't make sense.
the one way things are playing out, these riots. I get Black Lives Matter, and
Mm-hmm.
I support what Black Lives Matter really means. I
Yeah.
don't
Because
support what the
Black
movement.
lives do matter.
I
They
think
do matter. Everybody needs equality. Everyone needs
everybody.
justice.
That's right. Everybody is equal, right? I want that.
Mm-hmm.
And but back in when the Floyd murder happened, America was united. We were against that murderer, that cop,
Mm-hmm.
and we were for justice and equality and for
Yep.
justice to be served. And now that has become something totally different, where they're out saying that headphones aren't working too well, but they were saying that now Black Lives Matter is coming out saying that they're a Marxist movement, and they're trying to take out Trump before the election or after. So
Yep.
I don't know what to think of that,
It's
but it
funny you say
doesn't
that. I have an
doesn't
article, a headline right here from Breitbart News, and it's the co-founder of Black Lives Matter, and she's
right.
saying our goal is to get Trump out. But then if
Now,
you go to their website, that's not the goal under their mission statement.
correct. So
And what people in the public believe Black Lives Matter is, they're not thinking, oh, this group of people is here to get rid of Trump. They're thinking these people are here to fight for
social
inequality,
justice. And
fight
that's
for
why everybody
justice.
jumped on, and we're all for social justice. We're all for equality, right?
Hmm.
With America, with all its warts and everything that's going on, we're still the greatest country in the land and
Yep.
the land of opportunity. But
Yep.
it's being exposed that they're being a financial vehicle for the Democratic Party. You know,
Hmm.
very little of the money that people have given to Black Lives Matter has gone to the cause.
Yeah.
You know, there's a
I
reason
think it's about $1 billion has gone to the Democratic Party.
there's
Joe
a reason
Biden,
why
Bernie
Joe Biden
Sanders.
is having so much fundraising right now, but they're
Yep.
not showing where it's coming from. But you look at the top 5 donors and it's all Democratic Party. So that's another part of the queue. You know, there's a Democrat versus Republican, but I will tell
Hmm.
you, the deep state is not just Democrat. There's Republicans involved too. The
They're a
swamp
nation
creatures,
without borders.
the swamp creatures span all spectrums.
Yep. Yep.
And
They're a nation without borders. They don't see color. They don't see race. They just see power and control.
power and
And they're
greed.
pushing us towards a new world order, to their globalist agenda. And
Right.
you got people who are fighting to stop that. And then you got these elites who are trying to keep us oppressed. It goes deep. It goes, when you get into the reasoning of why this war is even taking place, Q calls it the silent war. And
Right.
it's very silent. Nobody even knows the war is taking place right now. They're too distracted with the mainstream media propaganda machine, feeding off of whatever they put in our mouths, you
Well,
know? And
they keep us focused on something else while they're
yep,
behind the scenes manipulating other
yep,
things and fighting.
yep. If
And
we're
the
all looking
theory,
at each other, we're not looking at them.
right? Like you said, the Hillary Clinton deal when she was going to go on trial and it was supposed to be streamed live through YouTube, that went down.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a
Yep.
coincidence? I don't know. I think there's more to it, right? And I
I think
think
there's more to it
if
too.
if Q does nothing else, it makes people think, and it challenges the sheeple mentality, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because in reality, this stuff is bigger than I'll ever be, and it's not affecting me. Like
Yeah.
my life's going on, right? But
Yeah.
it really is affecting me because it's taking away civil liberties. They're going after the Second Amendment. They're going after
Mm-hmm.
now. Just today, they came out where DC, they want to make DC a state, the 51st state. Why did they do that? They've been trying to do that for a long time because when Trump put the military involved, he couldn't do it on a state, right? He had to do it in Washington D.C.
Mm-hmm.
because that's not a state,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he shut it down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Come in hard and fast. He shut it down. Now Antifa is saying tonight at 7 o'clock they're supposed to try to take down the Andrew Jackson statue again,
Wow.
and
They really want that statue
they
taken
want
down.
it down. Yeah, and you've got politicians coming out saying, Dan Crenshaw, hold the line. I'm not saying he's a Q. I'm not even speculating that, but he's saying, wake up, people. This is crazy. We've come too
Mm-hmm.
far. You don't erase history. You learn from it.
You learn
And
from it.
there's a movement to erase history. And, you know, that's another part of Q. They talk about there's a movement to erase history, and we can't let that happen.
Yep.
So I
Yep.
think it's a way for the people to communicate without, like you said, being controlled. We don't need the story
Mm-hmm.
told to us. We need to figure out the story for ourselves.
Yeah. If you just look at the mainstream media, they don't report neutral. They don't just
No.
give you information. They give you opinions and they twist it. And the fact that this is when I really started, like, this is when my siding with Q really started ramping up. Every story the mainstream media put out,
Right?
I would do research and it would unravel. And it would turn out that the opposite was the truth, you know? And
Hidden in the bylines, hidden in the bottom of the article, page
got
8.
it. Yeah, you know, and I'm just like, man, like, for example, the media gets us to think that Donald Trump's a really bad guy,
Right.
okay? If he's a really bad guy, why do you have to make up headlines and fake stories and fake impeachments to get rid of him? He would just naturally expose himself for the bad guy he is.
Right.
Why? I mean, multiple impeachment hoaxes. I mean, all the isms you can think of, he's been labeled, you know, racist, xenophobe,
Yep.
you know, rapist. I mean, you name it. They're just constantly smearing him. If he's really all of these things, why is he still the president? And why are y'all making up stories that later fall apart?
Right.
Just doesn't make any sense to me. You know, if he was really bad, he'd get caught. If
Well,
he
they just
really
shut him
sexually
down.
assaulted somebody, they would have all the evidence they need to get rid of him because
Yeah.
you'd have evidence. Evidence is what you need. And that's the problem with the world today. We're getting away from evidence and we're getting into emotions. Emotions don't prove things, evidence proves things.
No,
And
but
that's why I like Q. Q tells you what evidence to focus on. He points in the direction we, the people, need to be looking at. Because sadly, most of us aren't educated enough in like politics or in government. Most of us were probably asleep during civics class. I
yeah,
was asleep during civics class. I don't remember even taking civics class, you know?
right. And
And
now they're
now
hard. They're
here I
trying
am
hard to
every
teach.
day researching, just educating myself. The more you understand how law works, the more you understand how our country works, how the
Mhm.
government works, you start to see where all the corruption is. You start to see how the people are like manipulating the rules to benefit themselves. And that's what the deep state does. They use the
Sure.
Federal Reserve banking system to manipulate. They use all the positions that they've been able to capture to get more corrupt people in there so they can pass legislation to manipulate their foreign policy, the wars, the going into Iraq and Afghanistan, taking this oil, all this stuff. This is they just manipulate it, and then they use the media to get us to like follow along so that we don't vote them out.
Yeah. And you know what else it's done? It's engaged a section of society that has not traditionally been politically engaged. The millennials, right? I mean, I'm 50
Yeah,
years old. This is where we thrive, right? The 50-year-old,
yeah,
40s, 50s, we thrive in politics. We watch the news.
yeah,
In my
yeah.
20s and early 30s, you know, you guys on both the right and the left, the Antifa is a lot of millennials, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the Q digital warriors, that's your playground, man. That's where you guys are expertise.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was the last of people that didn't have a computer in high school. I took
Yeah.
typing, right? You guys
Yeah.
probably didn't even see a typewriter. I mean, and they call it digital warriors because it's an information war. It's a war on
It is
information.
an information war. Yep.
And
And
if you,
that's what's crazy because I see a lot of people, they want to push people to want everyone to speak. They want everyone to share, you know, their opinion or their stance or whatever. I, I'm not saying people shouldn't share their opinions. It's America. You have the freedom to share if you want. But if
thank
you
God,
don't know what you're talking about and you start talking, you dilute the information pool and you make it that much harder to find the actual truth, you know? And right now we have a lot of people who are taking what the mainstream media is telling them
hmm
and then they're using that as their stance, thinking they're activists and that they're helping the country. They're
right?
sitting here thinking that all this stuff that's going on is going on when it's really not going on at all. Something completely else, like different, is going on. And that's what Q gets you around. Q will get you away from that mainstream media narrative because you got to remember these outlets, they have editors. What's an
Right.
editor do? They edit things. I mean, the music they play in the background to emotionally entice you.
hmm
I mean, the way they write the headlines, even the wording, they word it so carefully to where they can say it without dealing with any legal, you know, repercussions, but at the same time, they can still make it look like what they want it to look like.
Right.
You know, CNN's a huge culprit. I mean, they might be the worst of them all, really. Just watch CNN, you'll see all of the corruption.
The
I
subliminal
mean,
messaging, subliminal messaging is huge. Like
mm-hmm.
you said, colors make a difference. Sound makes a difference. It's not so
Yep.
much the words that are said; it's all the things that are happening around it, the noise that controls the messaging.
Mm-hmm.
And for instance, uh, let's take what's happening in Seattle. It was a summer of love. They took over a 6 block area. They decided there wasn't going to be any lawless. Now we've had 3 shootings, and a death.
Mm-hmm.
They're shutting that place down, right?
Yep. And then all these businesses, especially financial businesses, are actually moving shop. They're leaving
The,
Seattle. That's
people
why the
are,
mayor had to cave in. She's like, we got to dismantle.
yeah.
I mean,
Well, I mean, the passion was there. People were very passionate to be in that 7 block area. But
mm-hmm,
when reality set in, they couldn't get food. They didn't have any money. Robbery, they were having rapes. They were having lawlessness, and
mm-hmm.
they weren't going to let the cops in. And now they're wanting to sue the police for not coming in to get them when
You're in
they were
autonomous
against
zone.
the cops. In the autonomous zone, the first thing they did was put up walls,
They put up walls. And then these are
and
the
there
same
there are no
people
border.
who And they're the same people who have a problem with Trump putting up a wall,
Right.
but they use a wall for their autonomous zone that's no longer a part of the country.
The
Same with
problem with
CNN.
that,
CNN put walls around their office so that, protesters, rioters, looters couldn't get in and damage their building.
well, they're eating their own, right? That's what happened. The protesters went in for the messenger. They went after the messaging system, CNN, and, you know, knocked out windows, started them on fire, and now they got walls and everything else. This
Mhm.
autonomous zone, they're eating their own. They couldn't police. The passion was there, but there was no base. They were built on a house of sand, and it
Yeah,
just shifted, and it's fallen apart.
yeah.
So nobody's been more passionate. There's never been a more passionate liberal than in their 20s. I mean, and you should be passionate. You should be. That's when you're emotionally just, you're on your own and you're just fueled and you're awake and you're just, but then when you find out how the world really works, you turn out to be a little more conservative. And
Mhm.
then you get some money coming in and you have kids. And now you're like, wait a minute, that's a great vision, but socialism doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
And
Chaz or CHOP or whatever they call
right.
it, that autonomous zone, it couldn't even exist without capitalism. They were
No.
depending on donations, and those donations were earned by people who run their businesses. You
Right.
know, Capitalism lets those businesses
We
run.
need cigarettes, the good cigarettes. We want shoes, but we want the good shoes.
Yeah.
And that costs money. Money makes the world go around. And like you were saying, um, the financial system, the banking system, that's a target, right? Going back to the
Mhm.
one world order,
Yep.
the world order. So tell me a little bit, where are you mostly focused? Like if you're gonna, like, there's a lot of rabbit holes we can go down. Let's talk about
Mhm.
the one QAnon thing that you're focused on right now. You think the most important thing for people to understand, what's the message you want to get out right now?
Man, that's a tough one, man.
It
There's a
is.
lot. I'm in a lot of places. If I and we all see the world differently. We
Absolutely.
all view the game plan differently. I think there's a few major places that need our focus. I think
Okay.
it is the banking system,
Yeah.
because a lot of people they're not paying too much attention to it, but the way banking and money and finances is changing right now,
Yep.
it is crazy. It is, I mean, we're talking, there's going to be a very big transition here in the near future. So I think that's a big part that people need to focus on, because these deep state players, it's all about money, power,
Yeah.
control, and they manipulate the Federal Reserve and these other central banks in
Right.
order to continue to boost themselves up. Rich get richer, poor get poor. They're literally stealing our wealth. Even if we look at what's going on with this pandemic, we just printed $2 trillion out of thin air and
Yep.
gave everyone some money. And to the uneducated person, you're like, whoa, I just got $1,200. You taking that $1,200 though just made your dollars worth less. Your purchasing power just
Yeah.
went down. You might not feel it right now, but you're going to feel it soon. We already saw the dollar get discredited when oil went negative.
Yep.
So, I mean, petrodollar. The
Right.
minute oil went negative, an asset that we were told is scarce, these companies were paying people to take it off their hands. How scarce is it? I
Yeah.
don't know. So I think that's a big part of my. I'm also, for people who don't know, I'm a day trader,
Yep.
so I focus a lot in the financial markets, which is why that's a big area for me. But I think another area that might fit more people with this whole Q thing and where we need to be focused, I think it's maybe a two-part thing. I think it's shifting the narrative to realizing what's real and what's an illusion. And I
Right.
think to get there, it's understanding that the mainstream media is not what we think it is. I think that that's their biggest weapon. I mean, so many people today who are asleep, so many people who like unfriend people like us. What we do is when we talk, we're giving evidence.
Yeah.
We have factual information, we have statistics, we have evidence, and then their rebuttal is an opinion
Yeah.
or somebody said this. That doesn't hold up. And they get these ideas from mainstream media, from social media. I mean, all the media is corrupt right now. I mean, we're being censored on all the major social media platforms.
Yeah.
The mainstream media is not reporting neutral. It's not reporting real information. It's reporting what fits their narrative and their agenda. Even if we look at like Hollywood media, the way they brainwash us with these movies and
Right.
with the music and everything. So I feel like that's where the battle really is. I mean, Q wouldn't even be necessary if the media wasn't corrupt. This
And I
Q mission is to reach us because they can't get the real information to us because the credible outlets won't report right.
right. And I think both right and left are corrupt, right? It doesn't it's not they the alt right and the alt left belong to the same chicken. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Mm-hmm.
just their opinions are different. And
Yeah.
I think the news, the media focuses on emotion.
Mm-hmm.
They're not focusing on facts.
They're not.
And then when you bring facts to the table, sometimes people are like, "Well, I don't know how to deal with that.
Yeah.
I'm feeling this way. I'm seeing that I have to wear a mask and I can't go outside and I have to be locked down and I have to go to the grocery store, you know, and things are shut down. I can't get everything I want." Well, now
Yep.
they've got you. They've controlled you.
Yep. And they get
So,
us with social proof. You see everyone wear a mask now. Oh, I gotta wear one too. I don't want people to look down upon me or whatever. And
well,
then the narrative, the mainstream media narrative says, we're just people who don't think of the greater good. We could just wear a mask and be over with this pandemic. But then we go back to the research and the evidence. The masks don't work. I'm not. That's not an opinion. They
well,
just don't work the way the narrative.
I'm gonna push back a little bit on that because I've changed my narrative a little bit there. I've got two doctors, an ER doc, and a world renowned cardiologist who
All right.
are very good friends of mine, and they're
Mm-hmm.
not. One's liberal and one's Republican, and then
Okay.
I've got three nurses that are
Okay.
all in the ER,
Mm-hmm.
and they've all said, "Look, Darren, I've got congestive heart failure and I've got diabetes, and I'm light a few organs." They said, "You get this, and it's very serious. Wear
Yeah.
your mask. Try not to be in big groups, right? Social
Yeah.
distance. We got to get
Mm-hmm.
through this hump. There's a spike in the due to people testing, and it's got to run its
Mm-hmm.
course. So be
Mm-hmm.
safe." So I do wear a mask. I was like, look, I'm all about don't tell me what to do, when to do. But
Mm-hmm.
when they've reached out to me privately and said, "You're part of this high risk group.
Yeah.
If you get this, it's very dangerous."
Yeah. And there is a high risk group.
There
And we
is.
can get into that when we get into Cuomo and all these other governors who mandated
Well,
that nursing
let's
homes,
kind of dive
etc.
into that because that's a great segue. I'm part of the high risk group, right?
Okay.
Cuomo, and it came out 50% over what was it 51% of the people that died were in 5 states, and they all focus 51% of the people that died were in the nursing homes were in only
Mm-hmm.
5 states.
Okay.
Why did they put people into those nursing homes when they knew the mandates, the federal, the CDC, these are
Mm-hmm.
their government organizations, the CDC,
Yeah.
the doctors, all the knowledge says these are the high risk group. And
Mm-hmm.
then the governors gave uh, amnesty to the nursing homes from being sued, and then they put them in, make a mandate that they have to take them. Let's
Yeah.
dive in. Give me your rationale around that.
I mean, to me, it's just that's as anti-science as it gets right there. It makes no sense. It just you could see it all unraveling right now. It's almost as if they wanted the cases to go up.
Yeah.
It's almost as if they wanted to keep the economy locked down because we got to look at the pandemic. Okay, so this goes back all the way to 2016 in the election. Okay, when I gotta do a little backstory here so we
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
connect well. Okay, so this goes all the way back to Hillary and Trump's election in 2016. Okay, now we know that, and it's coming out now. Obama, Biden, all these corrupt,
Yep.
politicians, the deep state, however we want to call
Right.
them, they lied to judges to illegally obtain FISA warrants to spy on General Flynn, Trump, and others. Okay,
Yep.
now they thought Hillary was gonna win, so they
Oh
were
yeah.
sloppy with it. I mean, everybody thought Hillary was going to win, especially how the media was reporting. Like, oh, there's no way Donald Trump, this guy from The Apprentice, is going to win.
Well,
So everyone thought
all the
Hillary,
polls said that he was done.
he was done, and then he won.
Yeah.
And they didn't accept it. They
Right.
couldn't believe it. COVID-19 is happening because they haven't accepted it. racism and these race wars are happening because they didn't accept it. Everything we're going to see between now and the election is because these people have not accepted defeat. They they can't believe they lost. They had to do these things
The deep state.
because they didn't think they were going to lose.
Okay. And they,
And
they,
this
they
is
would
a
be exposed.
they would be exposed, and that's what's happening. They're trying to regain control. If Donald Trump wins in November, it's over for these people. It's over. They're all going to jail. I mean,
That's the
there's
theory, right? That's the theory behind it.
that's the theory behind it. Treason, sedition, crimes against humanity. People
Okay.
watching this, people all around the world need to familiarize themselves with these three things: sedition, treason, crimes against humanity. Because that's what these people are going down for. And it's going to unravel big time. While we're all distracted with, racism and the pandemic and the second wave, there's a bunch of stuff getting declassified right now. There's a lot. You got to remember, in the beginning of Trump's presidency, he was in the hot seat. He was the one constantly having to defend himself. He was the one in court, he was the accused and everything, or his lawyers, but
Sure.
I mean, he was the one that the courts were going after. And now look how real silently under the radar everything's changed. Now who's in front of the Senate?
Yeah.
Hillary, soon to be Obama, Biden, Fauci, Birx, Schiff, Brennan, Comey, all of these people who originally did the crimes are now the ones that are now having to testify here. They don't want us to watch.
No,
They
they
don't
don't.
want us to know. They don't want us to see. So they do things like a virus, for example. If it's their agenda, they release it through China, Wuhan lab. The government's not going to come out and say, oh, yeah, this was a bioterrorist attack. Just saying that could cause a war. And Trump, Q, and the Patriots are trying to avoid war. This is why you saw Trump become friends with Kim Jong-un, even though the media criticized him. Why are we criticizing civil communication and a more civil way to do dealings? Why is it always got to come to violence with our enemies? You should talk.
Well, and that's his strong suit, right?
That's his strong suit. We should be
Trump is the
talking.
great negotiator. He's the deal maker. That's what he's known for.
He's the
Um,
deal
and,
maker.
and he can't be controlled, right?
And he can't be controlled.
He doesn't take
So
I mean, this man is going through hell and back. He's not taking a salary.
he's not taking his salary.
I'm not saying he's my epitome of morality, because he's
Yeah.
not. And he didn't get there by being that. But he's
Yeah.
got the good of the country and the good of humanity, I think, in his heart. I think he does.
Yep. He
And
lived a blessed life.
he
He
did.
lived a very blessed life.
He
And this
did.
country gave him that life. And he
Yeah.
wants to make sure that other people can have that same opportunity to have that kind of a life.
And look at kind of what we talked about, human trafficking. And Trump is huge on anti-human trafficking. Ivanka Trump, his daughter, that's one of her main things that she focuses on.
Yeah.
And they're really coming down on it. I mean, I don't know any other
Mhm.
president that has come down on human trafficking like the Trump administration has.
Yep. These
And
elites do it. I mean, when we get deeper into the Q stuff, the people will understand the significance
they're
of the
not ready
human
for that, because
trafficking.
I've been fighting human trafficking for about 8 months, right?
Yeah.
And it's a dark topic. It's ugly. It's
It is.
it's the hardest thing I've ever had to deal with, but you can't run away from it. You can't fear it. You got to hit it on. You got to take it on face
Yep.
first in its face. And the way you do it
Yep.
is cut the finance out of it, because right now it is way
Mhm.
more popular than anything else. It's more not popular, more profitable than
Mhm.
any other underground thing out there, any other evil. And
Yeah.
ground zero is the United States. They are
Mhm.
the most consumer of human trafficking.
Yep.
What attracted me to Q also was the human trafficking mission there. I
Mhm.
kept running into them, and I'm like, man, there's something to this. They want to fight it. I'm all on board. I mean,
Yep.
but it's kind of like it's more of a popular thing, but right now it's gaining popularity. But
Mhm.
the mission is right.
Mhm.
I think it is. And let's go back to COVID for a minute.
Okay.
I believe it was a manufactured virus. I think
I
it did
believe
happen
that as well.
I think it happened in Wuhan in
Yes.
that laboratory. And I
Yes.
think, you know, we never really heard about the uh, the Chinese professor who was busted.
Charles Lieber,
Yeah,
the
no,
guy from Harvard.
the Harvard guy. So
Yeah,
he was
Charles
taking
Lieber.
he
Yep.
was taken he was caught with
21
the
vials of
files.
biological research with two Chinese nationals. They got caught at the Boston International Airport. Department of Justice already put it up on their website. Now the mainstream media is starting to report on it and
But
everything.
they don't want to bring that to light. It
Don't want to
doesn't
bring
fit
it
their
up.
narrative, you
Yep.
know?
Yep.
And it wasn't a bat,
It wasn't.
you know? Um but they, as soon as they lose traction, they move to the next thing. We had murder hornets. That's the biggest flop, right? Remember they
Yeah,
ran
that
the
was a
murder
flop.
they
Yeah.
ran the murder hornet thing.
Yeah.
Now they're trying it was COVID, and COVID, I'm not saying COVID is not real. It is real and it's dangerous, but it's
It's
not.
the hype that the media gave to it and the measures we took to take it down
Yeah,
where the problems are.
correct.
Because you don't shut down the global economy
No.
for what statistically this virus has done.
The virus is horrible, and to the right section of people, it will kill them, and that's
Hmm.
proven.
Yeah.
But to the majority, you're going to get through it.
Yeah. It would be like a cold,
A flu. But
a flu.
the flu kills a lot of people too. But the
Hmm.
people that my trusted advisors in the medical field say, to the right people, it will kill them.
Yeah.
So be aware, you know.
Yeah.
But I think they are playing on the emotion, not the facts,
Yes. And that's the problem.
and
That's
that's
why
where
the media
people
is the biggest problem.
you control the narrative, means you control the emotion. You control the emotion, you control the people.
Yeah. See,
And
me personally, I don't think people would have a problem. This is my this is an opinion here.
yeah,
I think us as Americans, if this virus was like as deadly as what the media made it seem, I don't think you'd see people saying, I don't want to wear a mask. I think you'd see everybody like, man, we got to come together. This is a serious thing. But
right,
really, the World Health Organization and these other corrupt people kind of cried wolf for whatever their agenda
yeah,
is, you know? And I'm guessing the agenda is to collapse the economy so that Trump can't get his reelection, so
right,
that these people are free. Because me personally, if I was like, if we go back to like a real pandemic,
yeah,
I'm not gonna like sit here and argue with people about wearing a mask. But then when I have like Judge Hidalgo here in Houston saying we're gonna fine you for not wearing one,
yeah,
this is like we're talking about people's lives here. We're talking about a global pandemic that's affecting everyone. And you're sitting here talking about fining people and your
right,
statistics don't match up. The cases are going up and the deaths are dropping and dropping and dropping every day. You know, the fact that they ridiculed Trump for even proposing hydroxychloroquine. They
right,
ridiculed him for it. You know, that's not productive in overcoming this pandemic. You know, he's giving ideas out. And you got to remember too, he's the president. He's not just going to say hydroxychloroquine just cuz. He's not guessing. He has very smart people around him who are
yeah,
giving him levels of intelligence we the public aren't even getting. So, and he understands he's under a microscope. Everything he says gets analyzed. Everything
right.
he says gets challenged. He has to be very, very precise with whatever comes out of his mouth, especially knowing the mainstream media is there trying to flip everything you say against him, you know?
And his words are planned out, and he does go off messaging from times. He's
Mm-hmm.
human. We're all flawed
Human.
humans, right?
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I agree. He knows more than we know, and now I have fought the hydroxychloroquine argument, and I don't know where I stand on that anymore because of the doctors and this my medical team that I've got around
Mm-hmm.
me are saying it's proven. They wish it would work, but it's not working the way it's said. It's not that
Yeah.
saying, but then there's studies like the Texas City study where 80 people in the nursing home didn't die. They lost one
Yep.
person. So
Yep.
I don't know. I think the truth's somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm not saying if I got it and I was sick and I was in the hospital and going on a ventilator,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to rule it out. I want to
Yeah.
try everything I can.
Yeah. Just
You
having
know,
the options, having a chance to
yeah.
save yourself.
Give me a chance. I need a 1% chance, and I'll ride that 1% until it dies. I don't
Yeah,
matter. I'm not afraid to fight there.
yeah.
Um, so, okay, so we talked about COVID. We've talked about the deep state and how it's a global movement,
A nation without borders.
a
The
nation with
globalists,
borders.
the elitists. You can look at them, and any of these terms will fit.
And then the mission is three things again. You said it was crimes against humanity,
Sedition and treason.
sedition, and treason. Those are the three things that Q is fighting against. And
Yes,
he's
or
using,
that he says we should focus on right now.
right.
We need to get familiar with these terms. Even if, another term that I think people should get familiar with is a traitor, because you're going to see a lot of traitors get exposed here. John Bolton's number one. He's
Yeah.
the first traitor that he's. I mean, he's going to be the example for all these other traitors. This
If
guy got fed fake information and leaked it, and they knew that he was leaking it, but people are like, well, why would Trump hire Bolton? Why does he hire all these people who are incapable of doing their jobs? And it's just that they don't understand military strategy. They don't know how to take down people. You get these rats, you put them in positions of power, you let them leak whatever you give them, and then you trace who they're leaking it to. And you just work your way up the chain of commands until you get to the very top of the hierarchy. And that top of the hierarchy is going to be these elite families. You're going to see Obama up there. You're going to see the Clintons up there. You're going to see Bill Gates up there. All these people are going to be at this top. And you just like look at it as like a pyramid. The further down the pyramid you go, the more people you have, but the less they know.
yeah,
The higher up you go, the less people you have, the more they know. And the people at the very top do not care about the people below them.
right.
These people below them, it's just some of them are going to crumble, some are going to leak, some are going to snitch, some are going to expose things, and it's all going to come crumbling down.
I think
i I
that's an
personally
example
have.
of Epstein, right?
Oh yeah, a great
He
example
was going
right
to
there.
flip.
He
He was
was
going
going
to
to
flip,
flip.
and he had the goods on everybody.
Mm-hmm. He definitely did. And what happened? He died.
Yeah,
Cameras malfunctioned. Two cameras, I think, malfunctioned, and both guards happened to go take a lunch break.
right.
I
Which is,
mean,
I've worked in the prison system. That doesn't happen.
that
You
doesn't
can't
happen,
do that.
especially with such a high-ranking
In
person like
Rikers, right?
him.
He was in Rikers. He was up in New York in a maximum security prison.
And it's like, come on, that can't be happening, guys. We
No.
know how high profile he is. We know how important he is to this whole thing, and then he's taller than the bunk that he hung himself from.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like,
I didn't know that part. That's a
so
good
it's
point.
like, it's a good point. And the media doesn't give you these little
Well, they're not
tidbits of
going to talk about that
information.
because
They don't want to talk about
he
it.
was dialed in. He was into the Hollywood elite. He was in
Mm-hmm.
with the political elite. He was in
Yep.
with the movers and shakers on a world scale.
Yep. Did you see the Project
Royal family.
Veritas with the reporter who had the story on Epstein years ago? And she was basically having a meltdown. She was like about to cry again because she had the story and the network wouldn't let her put the story out. And
Right.
she had it all. And now look what happened.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for reporters, when you have a story of that magnitude, that's something that makes your career.
Oh.
And to have it taken from you by a corrupt network with an agenda,
Yeah.
it's just not a good look.
They
Why
silenced
did
her.
y'all?
She's
They
lucky she's
silenced her.
alive.
Yeah.
I mean, if the so if you follow Q
Mhm.
and if it plays out the way Q says it's going to play out, and he's
Mhm.
using the digital warriors, we're going to
Mhm.
see exposure to crimes against humanity,
Mhm.
corruption,
Mhm.
and sedition
Treason,
and treason.
sedition.
And
Yep.
it's going to get ugly. The theory behind it, from what I know, is it's going to get ugly. It's going to get nasty. Buckle up, folks, because it's going to get rocky. But
Mhm.
we're going to be better off on the other side. It's always
Mhm.
darkest before dawn, and
Mhm.
it's going to be a beautiful other side because we're going to have a better world, a better country because of it.
Yep. I believe they refer to
That's
it
the
as the
premise,
storm. I'm
right?
pretty sure they refer to it as the storm. You have the calm before the storm, then you have the storm itself. In my opinion, we're in the storm right now. It is.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, look at
starting,
Twitter.
right?
It is starting. Twitter is censoring the president of the United States, whether you like him or not. You have a platform that is putting your president, the leader of your country, on mute. They're not
Well,
even letting him speak for
not
the
just
people.
Twitter, Facebook,
Facebook,
Google,
Google,
right? The
Instagram.
blackout, Instagram,
Yep.
the digital network, the digital media. They basically they've got the puppet strings and can control
Hmm.
the people because that's
Hmm.
where everything is.
Yeah.
That's where everybody goes. People don't watch the news. They
Yeah.
get
Who
their news on
watches the news
Facebook. They get
anymore?
them bits and bytes. Bits and
Yep.
bytes is where the world is manipulated right now.
You know how many people just share a headline? They don't even click on the article.
Oh
I
yeah,
have people all the time sending me headlines, asking me questions. I click on the article. It'll either be an article that's years old and irrelevant, or it will contradict their whole statement of what they thought
yep.
they were going to say or prove
Or
or
it's an
whatever,
ad. It's clickbait. I mean, I've done
Yeah,
it.
it's
I mean,
clickbait, We all do it. It happens, but
we're
what's
lazy.
key,
We're
this is
creatures. We're creatures of the path of least resistance. Oh, that's hot. I
yeah.
got to get it out there. You know.
Yeah. And that's also dangerous. And
Oh,
we have
it's
to
huge. Yeah.
understand that aspect of our nature. If that's how we're going to operate, it's just going to be anarchy. You're just going to have nothing but fake news spread everywhere.
And I
And
think we got to be careful with the Q thing too because
mhm.
that's a different narrative. So you got to do your research
Mhm.
before you put it out there, right? And I
Yep.
think, but the messaging behind the Q anons are we're not ready for the messaging yet, so we've
Mhm.
got to let them wake up and
Yep.
see what that is, and then when they're
Yep.
ready,
Yep.
the
It's
cards we'll
very
turn the cards
important
over.
it's very important that we understand what Q is telling us. If we go too far with it, it will in a sense discredit it.
Yeah, yeah,
Like there's like some people take the Q thing and they go super far with it,
yeah.
and it can almost turn people off from the information source.
Oh yeah, if they
You
go to
know?
straight, if a new person that's looking into Q and they go straight to the child pedophilia and the sedition piece, they're going to back away. I'm looking at Wikipedia, you look up Q. It's a conspiracy theory based on child pedophilia. That right at the front, right? That's playing to people's emotions. And then it
Yeah.
talks about Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, George Soros,
Mhm. Mhm.
and it sprinkles some stuff in there. And they're going to put everybody in Guantanamo Bay, and that's
Mhm.
where the prison's going to be, and that's why it's not shut down yet. And
Mhm.
that's a theory behind it.
Mhm.
I looked at that, and they talk about the storm, the Great Awakening, right?
Yep. Yep.
But they're saying it's been debunked and it's wrong and it's just a bunch of conspiracy theorists.
Mhm.
You've got young people, old people, liberals, conservatives, every race, creed, color. It's the
Mhm.
thing about the Q movement is it's an amalgamation of everybody.
Mhm.
It is what the world looks like.
Mhm.
Every country, creed, race, color, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
They're there.
Yep. A lot of people, I think they get caught up with the messenger and they don't even
There you go.
focus on the message. And like for
Emotion.
example, if I look at myself, for example, like I've never really been into like politics or anything. It's really just until recently, until I saw how the whole world's being affected, is
Yeah.
when I really started getting into it. And then just getting into Q, I don't know who Q is. I mean,
Nobody
it's just a
does.
mystery person leaking information. To me, it's, does the information make sense? Does it promote things that are aligned with your values and your morals? Because if you actually read Q, he says that patriots have no skin color.
Right.
We're of all kinds of colors. We're just Americans. We're just humans. We're citizens of the planet, and the goal is world peace.
Yep.
Q talks about educating yourself, understanding your government, understanding the law, understanding that the power resides with the people.
Yep.
These are things that I agree with, because if you have any, even a minimal understanding of America, the government is for the people.
Right.
But we've had this socialist mentality get crammed into our head to where we want the government to do everything for us.
Right.
But for them to do everything for us, free healthcare, free school, free whatever you can think of. And I'm not saying I would love everything to be free. I think
Yeah.
everybody would. But the thing is,
It's
there's
not
no such
reality.
thing as free. In reality, there's no such thing as free. It
Right.
comes from somewhere. And that somewhere, this is why I tell people I feel one of the big focuses on this whole thing is understanding economics and how the Federal Reserve banking system works, because that's how they manipulate us. They sit here and they use that. I mean, they raise our taxes to give us these free things.
They
Then you
make you
have,
seem free, but it's very constricting and
yeah,
controlling. They take
it's
away your
free up
liberties.
front. It's free up front to the eye,
Right.
but when tax season comes around and you're paying more taxes,
Yeah.
you're not gonna feel it. You're going to feel that, like, that economic impact, especially as the currency devalues.
Oh yeah. It's the way I look
Especially
at
as
it
it
is
devalues.
it's free. Socialism is free
Mhm.
versus freedom. You
Yeah.
have the freedom to create the life you want for yourself.
Mhm.
And
And that's valuable. That's the
that's
most
what
valuable.
that's what Q is wanting to give back to society,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
And the other side is a socialist. We control the narrative, we control everything, a world by emotion. We'll give
Yep.
you food, we'll give you shelter, we'll give you money, we'll give you a car, and we'll give you health care. But
Yep. What's the saying?
look
Give a man a fish or teach him how
to
to
the
fish?
fish, right? And that's the difference. Yep.
Mhm.
And look at Venezuela.
Oh man.
You
I mean,
know,
just looking at it, just go talk to some, for everybody watching, just go talk to somebody from Venezuela.
yep,
They're pro-Trump, they're pro-capitalism, and
yeah.
they understand the road we're on right now is dangerous. I mean, if you
Anybody
go to
in us,
Venezuela right now and look in the streets, their currency is worthless. It's in
oh,
the
it's nothing.
streets.
Yeah,
Like, people don't even pick it up. You know, we find pennies in the streets. We don't pick up pennies. I pick
right.
up pennies,
Yeah,
actually. But
it's
most
lucky
people,
money in our family.
yeah. But most people, they don't pick up pennies,
Right,
you know?
right.
Imagine walking down the street and you have blue $100 bills everywhere, just piles of it.
Yeah,
Today, everyone would scoop it. Venezuela, though, if we end up like them, nobody will pick those hundreds up.
yeah. You want to know the best advocate for a non-socialist society is talk to somebody who's lived in one.
Hmm.
It's great on
You
theory,
learned a
but
lot.
it's never worked.
It's
It's
never worked. Not one example of it working. Not one example.
so so Ahmad, in wrapping up, let's talk about if people want to learn more about the Q, where would you recommend them starting?
YouTube's a great place. I think, me personally, my number one source for information, for interpretation, is the X22 report on YouTube. He
Okay.
also has a website, but the way the logic, the explanation, the interpretation, just the overall presentation of it, you
Yep.
can tell that it's very well thought out. You can tell that it's connecting pieces, you know? And
Right.
here's another thing also, on a side note, with Q. Q has made mistakes,
Oh yeah.
but when Q makes a mistake, he goes back, posts, and tells everyone it was an error. It was a mistake. For example, this happened, I think, like a month ago. I think it was like NBC or something. They had a skyline picture of Philadelphia, and then below it, there was another screenshot of Philadelphia, but it was from the World War Z movie.
Right.
And Q didn't know that this was a fake picture made by some guy on Twitter. He didn't peep it. Somebody was able to point out, like, this is actually not real. This never happened.
Okay.
If Q wanted to prove his narrative, he would have even said anything.
Right.
Next post he comes on, he says, "Hey, disregard it. It was wrong. Thank you, Anons, for the confirmation."
Yeah.
And he said he was in a helicopter when he was making the post. So he had some difficulties within it. But to me, just the fact that they're honest, or whoever Q is, the fact that Q is honest in the mistakes, that just, for me as a person, that goes a long way. The mainstream media, even look at Bubba Wallace.
Yeah.
If Bubba Wallace, if he would have just said, "Hey guys, I got it wrong," all would be forgiven. He's
Yeah.
still out here saying it's a noose, it's a noose.
Yeah. He's double down. Yeah.
He's doubled down on it. That's where the problem is. It's not that you were wrong. We're, again, like you said earlier, we're humans. We're all flawed. We all make mistakes. We all
Well,
get duped from time to time, you know? I mean,
and
that would be weird, seeing a garage rope handle on the
yeah.
floor. People come up to you and tell you, "Hey man, there's a noose," with all the racial tension that's going on right now. But then when the FBI and NASCAR comes out and says, "Hey man, it was just a pole rope on your garage door. It's been there for years. Here's photographic evidence." You just man up, say, "I was wrong, guys.
He
There's
doesn't
just so
even know.
much racial tension." He doesn't even know.
He doesn't even know. I mean, if you think about it, what was the first sport to come back online?
UFC, I think.
NASCAR.
Oh, it was NASCAR. NASCAR came out before.
NASCAR and UFC came out at the same time. The first race, everybody. I mean, people that never watch NASCAR, so they
Yeah,
got a big audience, right? Big
yeah.
audience, NASCAR. And then all of a sudden, racial tension blows up, and then all of a sudden, Bubba Wallace comes up. This
Mhm.
noose. Somebody
Mhm.
he didn't discover it. Somebody told him.
Somebody told him. Yep.
Now,
Did
anybody
you
that
fact check
knows,
it?
yeah, anybody that knows garages, mechanics, mechanic inclined, you have pull downs all the time.
Mhm.
And a lot of people tie a circle around so you can grab it.
Yep.
Um, the picture was not a noose. I saw it. They've shown it. It's not a noose, but they said there was one in in the garage somewhere. So the narrative kind of
Yeah.
changed a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, but if you think about it, was that a steering in the conspiracy world? Was that the mainstream media getting people to watch something, get a big following, put this on, get all this emotion around it?
Mhm.
A good thing
They
happened.
did it.
They got rid of the Confederate flags, and then all of a sudden it's debunked. And now
Mhm.
NASCAR is discredited. Um,
Mhm.
Bubba Wallace, it's ruining his name. And in the grand
Mhm.
scheme of things, does that part of the movement care? No,
No,
they got
they don't
they
care.
got what they wanted.
Yep.
So yeah, okay. So you say X-22 report.
X22 is a great source. That's my number one source right
Okay,
now. Also just a lot like Twitter's a great place, especially if you use hashtags. You can find a
yep.
lot of information on Twitter. Even though they're suppressing a lot of people, you can still find it out there. It's out there. So Twitter's a great
What about the
source.
Q report? You go there when you find all the different.
Oh, yep, cute. So I don't go directly to the forum where the original posts are made. I go to websites that take them and repost them on their website.
Okay.
You know, it's
Yep.
just safer. It's easier. You
Yeah.
don't have to create an account. You can just view. I actually have an app on my phone. Every
Yeah.
time Q posts, I get a little alert. I can click on it and it shows me the Q
What's that app
post.
called? Do you know?
I think it's called Q Alerts. I'd have to double check. I'm on my
That's one
phone
I
right now. I
use.
can't exit the video,
That's
but
what I
yeah,
use. It's Q
yeah.
alerts. And
Yeah, I'm
and
pretty sure it's Q Alerts.
sometimes he posts a lot, sometimes he doesn't. You know.
Yeah, they say when he's not posting a lot, operations are taking place.
Okay.
When he starts posting a lot, we're entering the next little phase. They redirect the focus. They tell the digital soldiers what they need to focus on. And then our job is literally to discredit the mainstream media. We are taking down the mainstream media right now. That is step number one, in my opinion. It's taking down the mainstream media. Trump, the Patriots, Q, they're going to handle the generals. They're going to handle Obama and Biden and the Clintons. I mean, we got Barr, we got Durham. The pain is coming. These
Yeah.
people, they're going to get what's coming to them. But they need the people of America to know what's going on to really push it, to really make that change and destabilize this deep state, to really take out these corrupt people. Because if Biden wins, we're just going to get what we got with Obama. Nothing's going to change.
More socialist.
Actually, if you go
It's
on
going to be
Q's
pushed more to
post,
the left. It's going to be more socialism.
yep.
Because
If you go to Q's post, he shows a 16-year plan. You can
yeah.
actually see the deep state 16-year plan. The first 8 years was Obama. The second 8 years, it shows the plan that was supposed to be Hillary Clinton. Talks about how we were supposed to be in World War III, how the
Mm.
currency was going to collapse, how they were going to do these mandatory vaccines, all this kind of stuff. Q has been talking about this. This
Yeah.
isn't new.
So
This
go to
isn't new.
the.
Now, there is an aspect. What's up?
I was like, so to find out more about this, you go to Q reports or the X-22 report, and you go to the Q alerts are two great sources.
For a newbie, for somebody first getting into it, X22 is going to be the way to go, because what X does, he covers the news of the day, and then he goes over the Q posts and gives you the interpretations of how of what these Q posts could be communicating to you.
Okay,
If you
so
don't have too much information
yeah,
or understanding of what's going on and you just see a Q post, you won't even know how to interpret it. You
right.
won't know what the code words are or anything. X22 just does such a great job of waking you up and showing you how it all works. Before you know it, you won't even need X22. You'll be able to go and pull it up yourself and know what's going on. You'll have caught up with all of the story. Like me, for example, I wish I was in from the very beginning.
Yeah,
I wish I was watching this since 2017, because I know my understanding would be so much deeper. You'd see so many things that would have played out and understood them in a much deeper way than jumping in right before COVID, or late 2019 or whatever.
yep.
Even now, if somebody jumps in today with no understanding, it's going to be, because first of all, it's overwhelming.
It
If you
is
don't know what's
overwhelming.
going on and you don't have somebody who can explain Q the right way, it is overwhelming. We are dealing with child trafficking, human trafficking, corruption at the highest levels, treason, sedition, crimes against humanity. We got scandals with Hillary, with
Yep.
Biden in Ukraine, and Tara Reid and his son Hunter, Obamagate. I mean, it's just the FBI, the CIA, NSA, all these organizations. Everybody was corrupt. This is why they say the swamp runs deep. And what
Yep.
are we doing now? We're draining the swamp. And the first part of Trump's presidency was removing these swamp creatures.
Yep.
Now that they've been removed and patriots have been put in place, now we take down these people. We release evidence. We like inform the public, which is that's the Q operation. It's to inform the public. If Q never happened, this podcast wouldn't be taking place right now.
Right. Yeah.
These subjects we've covered, these ideas we've exchanged, these perspectives we've changed, none of this would have even been shared. This is going up on the internet and everybody's going to get to hear about it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody's going to get a little more insight. And that's what's dangerous about the mainstream media. They do not want you to even ask questions or think. They just want you to like reform. They want you to just or conform. I mean, they just
Yeah.
accept it. Just take it. This is it. This is it. If you step outside this, you're a conspiracy theorist. What's wrong with asking questions?
Yeah. It's kind of like the Hunger
Q
Games.
wants us to ask questions. That's actually, if you look at Q doesn't want us arguing with people. He doesn't want us dividing from people, which is what's sad to me. Because so many of my friends that I've lost, they didn't even take the chance or the time to even see where I'm coming from, and they know me personally. I mean, like, I'm not a racist. I don't
Right.
support rapists. I don't support xenophobe. You know, none of
Right.
this stuff. But then I talk about Q. I talk about the evidence, the stats, the information, this other perspective, and then I automatically get labeled as a racist or.
Well, I think that yeah, the MAGA hat, Make America. When did Make America Great Again become a racist term? But now
Well,
they've
I mean,
they've
if
they've
you wear
labeled
the
it
red
as.
hat, you're a
Yeah.
racist.
Yeah.
You're
So.
you're a white supremacist now.
Yep.
You know,
Yep. I
and
know, and that's wrong.
that's
Um,
wrong.
well, this has been great. So let's talk a little bit. Tell me how they can find you, and you're a life coach. So tell me a little bit about that. Give me the cliff notes, the commercial about Ahmad and where people can reach you and what you do.
All right. So yeah, I am a life coach. That's my passion. Life coaching is my passion. Like just a quick backstory. Years ago, I'm 31 now. In my
Mhm.
like late teens, early 20s, even mid 20s, life was just beating me up. It was very tough. I did not have the awareness that I have these days. I mean, just all areas of life were tough, from my health to my finances to my like spirituality, all these different areas of life, my mindset, they were all bad. You know, they were all holding me back. And then one day I just got fed up and I just started asking questions and I
Mhm.
started reading and researching and just doing a lot of like inner work. And your outer world is a reflection of your inner world.
Right.
If you have disease in your inner world, you'll see disease in your outer world. If you have hate in your inner world, you'll see hate in your outer world. And I mean, just watching my life completely transform, things that once were negative turned out to be positives and changed my life for the better, you know? And I mean, just the amount of spiritual growth I took, the way my mindset changed, I just discovered myself and I discovered my gift on helping people change their lives. I've yet to meet one person who sat down with me and not had their life improve, you know?
Okay.
That's my goal in life. If we have an interaction, you're leaving the interaction like I gave you gold. It's just
Okay.
not metal. It's mental gold, you know?
Right.
That's all we want. Because you got to look at, you need a strong foundation. You need love. You need unity. You need freedom. You need open mindedness. And if we just look at the current state of the world, who's talking about love right now? Who's
Yeah.
talking about solutions right now? Who's talking about unity right now? The people who are getting drowned out, or we're being called insensitive or delusional or whatever. It's almost
Hmm.
like you have to either like conform to what the mainstream narrative is, or you're an enemy in a sense, you know. But
Sure.
so yeah, the life coaching, it's just that's my passion right there. I'm gonna do it for life. I mean, my ultimate goal is to do it for free. It's not even something I want to make money off of. It's something I just want to do to help people. Because just watching my own life change, seeing like how I grew up as a kid, just sheltered to
Hmm.
work. I mean, here I am now doing this podcast with you. Just
Right.
openly speaking and respecting your opinion. I mean, we didn't see eye to eye on everything here today.
No, no, yeah, yeah,
But we
right.
didn't. You know,
We didn't get
there's no
about it.
bad blood. There's no
No.
like, oh, you're evil. We both know at our cores the intent is improvement for the country,
Right.
improvement for the world, everyone's lives getting better. And if
Yep.
we look at the people, the globalists, the elitists, the people who are ruling the world right now, that's not their goal.
Right.
If
Uh,
their goal is to keep us oppressed, because the minute we're no longer oppressed, we don't need them anymore.
Yeah.
And if we don't need them anymore, everything's going to change. Everything. The great awakening is here. We are
Yep.
waking up right now. But and it's crazy because all the stuff I got from my life coaching, all the skills that I had attained
Hmm.
through that journey are what I'm able to apply now. It's what's helping me see the truth. It's made me neutral.
Right.
I could take the mainstream media narrative and say Trump's racist. Or I could ask, is he a racist? Why do they say he's a racist? Do my research and see. I've actually learned he's not a racist. I
Yeah.
can see how people can twist things up or how the media takes clips and tries to make it seem like he's a racist. But then when you actually go do your research on the person, when you actually get logical about it, have you met Donald Trump?
Yeah. No.
I haven't met him. How can I have a judgment on a person I've never even met? That means
Right.
everything I'm taking is opinions I'm seeing on the screen,
Yeah.
on YouTube, on articles, on social media. That's not the best way to necessarily determine who somebody is. You
Right.
never met them, but you know everything about them. I know
Yeah.
you're a rapist. I know you're a racist. I know that you did this and this and this and this. I never met you. I've never actually felt your energy or talked to you, but I know because CNN said so.
Yeah.
What? Just
So,
doesn't make sense.
so
So,
man,
but
how do they reach you? How would they find you?
you can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Facebook,
But how would they
and you
find
can
you? Is
find
there
me
a
on Twitter. Yeah,
your
it's
your
at Nebby
handles?
Starborn. Yeah, at Nebby Starborn on Instagram and
Okay.
on Twitter, and
Okay.
then on Facebook, just Ahmad Halabi. Y'all will find. I mean, they follow you, they'll see me. We're always sharing each other's
Yep.
posts. They'll find
Yep.
me on Facebook.
Okay.
So,
Great.
but
And then they can reach out about Q questions. They can reach out about the life coach, obviously.
they can reach out to me about anything. You can reach
You're
out to me about spirituality, about Q, about the deep state, about the current state of the world. I'm not, here's the thing with me, like, I'm never going to tell people I have the answers.
hmm
Research what I talk about. Don't believe what I tell you. Research what I tell you because I'm researching it because I have also seen things that made me feel it needed to be researched. You should never just believe people.
right.
That's
Yeah.
dangerous in a sense.
Yeah.
You should always confirm. I mean, look at the mainstream media. They're not even fact checking anything.
Right. That's
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 why
that's where
they
sheeple
got the
come into
Bubba
play.
story wrong. They got so many things with COVID-19 wrong. I mean, the murder hornets. I mean, you name it. So many things are just crumbling. They're not even fact checking anymore.
Yeah.
You
They're
know,
just
and I mean, I think it was CBS. They two times within 2 weeks they took a picture of an Italian hospital and said it was a hospital in New York, and then they said it was a hospital in Philadelphia. How do you make the error two times in a row
yeah.
within 2 weeks with something so important, with something so crucial? You can't mess up on a global pandemic.
Right. You
People's
gotta
lives are at stake.
Yeah, and you've got to fact check it, and people fact check the crap out of that. Citizen reporters, right? They were going to the hospitals where there were lines, and they were turning people away, and it was,
Yep.
it would go down another rabbit hole, but it was empty.
It was empty,
So,
just
yep,
like a ghost town.
yeah.
So,
Well,
I mean,
thanks for
it's,
coming on. I really appreciate
yeah,
it.
for sure. Thanks
I
for
really
having
enjoyed
me.
This is my longest podcast. So
Nice.
you're
I
the
mean, we
record
just
holder.
scratched the
Well,
surface
I
too. We
know.
scratched. This was like introductory. We didn't get into the details of all of the
No.
things we talked about. We kind of just introduced them. I mean, we could
Well,
have really took people down a rabbit hole today.
whether you believe Q or you don't, I hope, if nothing else, this challenged you to do research, and it
Yes.
challenged people to just look under the hood.
Just look
Take it
under
or
the
leave
hood.
it. Take it or leave it. You might like it, you might not, but don't take what anybody or any source for granted. Don't take it that it's law or real.
Yep.
Research it, right? So
Yep.
that's what
It's
this is all about.
information warfare. It's
It
information
is.
warfare. So
Eh,
it's important you're getting the right information, because the people who don't want you getting the right
yep.
information, their goal is to get you the wrong information.
Correct.
And that's why we have the mainstream media doing what it does. I'm
And
going to say it now and I'll say it forever. The mainstream media is the enemy of the people.
yep.
It is the enemy of the people.
That's the virus.
That's the virus. That
Yeah.
is the real. We do have a virus. We have a few viruses, but that's the real virus.
Yeah.
Is the mainstream media. We could have tackled COVID. We could
Yeah.
have tackled it the right way, but the media split us. It divided us. I mean, they did so many things to turn us against each other during this
The
pandemic.
oldest trick in the book in warfare: divide and conquer.
Divide and conquer. You
You
know.
know,
So
together. We are one. Tell me what the
where we go one,
WWG.
we go all.
There you go.
Where we go one, we go all.
Yep.
Exactly. That I mean, color doesn't matter. Religious beliefs don't matter. I mean, nothing is sexual orientation. None of it matters. We're all Americans. We're
Yep.
all here. We all want the same thing at the end of the day. We just need to unify. We just need to come together.
Yep.
And that's the big. That's why, like, in my opinion, I know we gotta wrap this up here, but real quick, education is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, if we just look at the situation with police brutality,
Yep.
the people police know the law. Most people don't know the law.
Right.
This gap in education allows the police officer to have so much control over you in the situation.
Sure.
You will be giving up rights that you don't even know you have because of your lack of knowledge and information. That's why it always
Knowledge is
comes down
power.
to knowledge is power. And if we really want to change the world, we need to educate ourselves.
Yep.
We need to educate ourselves on love. We need to educate ourselves on coming together, educate ourselves on how our government works. I mean, across the board, our children, I mean, it all starts in childhood.
Yeah.
That's you learn the most in your first 5 years of life.
The way you get knowledge is through research
Is through research,
and education and learning. So
Yep. So until we start educating ourselves, I mean, you're not going to see a change. You have to be the change you want to see. And that's why I go with Q. Since I've started following Q, I've learned about the Constitution. I've learned about government. I've learned about politics. I've learned about military strategy. I've learned about the deep state and how they control and oppress people. I've learned about economics. I mean, Q has opened me up to so many subjects that I didn't even pay attention to. And now I'm learning that these are the things I'm the most passionate about.
right. And some of it is hard to take, guys and
It is
gals.
hard to take.
But
It definitely is.
if we all work towards beating the bad, then we'll be able to get to the good.
We are going to get to good. I
And
truly believe it.
I believe it too. And I believe that I don't know the path there, but I know that by research and understanding and just trying to do the right thing,
Mm-hmm.
we can't go wrong.
Here's a great thing about not knowing the path. I'll end it with this, okay?
Okay.
I learned this a long time ago, a little thing that helped me change my life going down paths. Pretend you're in a car, okay? You're going from point A to point B. Let's say you're driving 5 miles, okay? You can't see 5 miles away to your point
Right.
B destination, okay? It's dark outside, okay? So your headlights are on. As you're driving, you know where you're going. In this case, we know we're going to world peace one day. We know we're going through this great awakening. We don't know how we're going to get there, but we know we're going to get through this, okay? That's
Okay.
point B. Point A is where we are today. Chaos, anarchy, you name it. As you're driving this car, your headlights show you 200 feet ahead of you.
Yep.
You're not concerned about a mile down the street. You're just able to see the 200 feet ahead of you. As you drive that 200 feet, the next 200 feet is revealed. And then you're driving the next 200, the next 200. Before you know it, you've arrived to point B. You didn't need to see the whole route. You just need to see that 200 feet ahead of you and just keep going. And the path will reveal itself to you. You just need to know you're getting to your destination. And we're going to get to our destination here.
Oh yeah.
Most people are good. We are inherently good.
Absolutely.
I don't believe most people are bad. I think the media wants us to think most people are bad. That's how you keep us divided. That's how you keep us like, I don't trust you.
Well, they
You
put the
have
focus
bad.
on the bad, right? Everything
Mm-hmm.
everything is bad. Everything is negative. Everything is horrible. There's a lot of good
Mm-hmm.
that goes on in the world.
So much good that goes on in the world.
And
I see
focus
it
on
all
it.
the time. I
Focus
do
on
good
it.
every day.
Yeah.
It's like you do good every day. So
Yep.
many people do good every day. It's just it doesn't get the focus because it doesn't create headlines, you know?
Yep.
It doesn't generate money. You know, when the riots and the looting were happening, I mean, who's the biggest beneficiary of George Floyd, you know, being killed and of all the riots and the looting? If we really look at it, it's not Trump. It's not even
Yeah.
the Democrats. It's the media.
Yeah.
Facebook got all those streams to view that George Floyd video. You know how many people were turning on CNN or NBC or whatever so they could see buildings on flames and fire, you know, and seeing people punching windows. What's all this do? It generates streams. And if you generate streams, you're
Streams of revenue.
generating ratings and
Yep.
revenue, you know?
Yep.
So, I mean, of course that's what they want. Of
Sure.
course that's what they want. Because if that's gone, people aren't. Who's watching the news?
Yeah.
Like you said, who's watching the news? Most people are watching the media. So the news needs things like this to happen to suck us in. And the fact that this is happening in an election year, the lead up to an election, I mean, that just right there speaks volumes.
Oh, yeah.
That speaks volumes right there, you know? This is all planned. This is all, I mean, it's a spiritual war. It's a silent war. It's an
Yeah.
attack behind the scenes, you know? Q says infiltration instead of invasion. We've been taught that war is invading countries. America's war, this battleground is different. We got infiltrated.
Yeah.
And these people got on the inside and they're trying to take our rights away. They're trying to destroy our Constitution. They're trying to destroy our history. They're trying to destroy everything this country stands for. Because once America collapses, where else are you going to go? Where's there a real free country? Just look at Hong Kong. They're holding the American flag in Hong Kong as they protest. They're holding signs of Donald Trump, you know, free Hong Kong, liberate Hong Kong. We in America, we're so dumbed down by our media, we don't even know the blessings we have. We don't even know the true power we have, which is those constitutional rights.
Yeah.
And if we are able to educate ourselves and use those constitutional rights the right way, you overthrow corrupt governments. The people then become the real rulers. We are the elites. Every
Right.
American citizen is the elite. They're just not educated in it. And that's the whole problem. When you're not like I said, with the police and your regular citizen, that gap of education allows manipulation. Same with the law. The government has these people at the top have this big gap of education between us. Most people don't know what's going on. They don't understand how the country works or the government, you know?
Yep.
And let you manipulate, take advantage of, and we'll just take all your rights away. We can't really take them, so we'll create events so you voluntarily give them up.
Yeah. Well, that's a great way to end it. I'm sure we'll be doing this. We'll do this again.
Oh yeah,
I've
for
really
sure.
enjoyed
It was
it.
a great time. Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much.
Yeah, for sure. I'll see you soon, man. Be safe.
All right.